Hello, I'm going to talk to you about chapters 1 through 3 today. The first chapter title is Connecting Process and Principles. It defines communication, ways to communicate. For example, we can communicate through YouTube. We can communicate face to face, Facebook, technology, are ways to communicate. Then it goes into details about how you perceive the message, how to speak. For example, like I'm sending the message, the way you receive it. Then it talks about how your tone and your facial expressions has a lot to do when you communicate. It says make connections. I guess have eye contact. When you're receiving a message, let the sender know that, yeah, I received the message clearly. Then it also talks about communication competencies. Be a good communicator. And it states in the text that it will take maybe a lifetime to be an effective communicator, a competent communicator. Then it goes in details about social networking and principles of communication. Communication is a process. Yes, it is, because sometimes I have problems communicating with others, and sometimes I have problems with receiving the information from others, especially when it's not clear. Then it goes on and talking about communication systems, the transactive, and sometimes we can talk and maybe the other person might feel a type of way because of the way you presented the conversation or your communication skills. And the essential components of communication is sources, messenger, interface, the noise in the background. Background noise has a lot to do with communicating because it like distracts the person receiving it and sending it. And then it goes into talking about miscommunication, messages, feedbacks, and your environment has a lot to do with communication as well as the channel decoding. And I'm skimming through the book to find stuff to talk about in chapter 2. Chapter 2, the title is Connecting Perception and Communications. Your perception is, the definition says, the process of selecting, organizing, and interpreting information to give personal meaning to the communication we receive. And I see perception as a view, what goes on when you're looking at maybe the TV, or you're looking at the chair or a person. What is going on, like what are you receiving from the person, your intake. And you also can judge some things by past experiences, and that will somehow hinder you to be open-minded because something might have happened in the past that you didn't like, or maybe it could have been a good thing, but the past can also interfere as well. Your physical characteristics. For example, how well groomed you are, how you're dressed, how your shoes look, how presentable you look. Sometimes your culture background has a lot to do with it. Maybe the person that's receiving it, being that they have a culture difference, they judge them or maybe not even understand them because of you're concentrating on the person's mistakes instead of listening to the message. And gender has a lot to do with it. Your voice has a lot to do with things when you're conveying a message. Then it says become an active perceiver. Just like I said before, have an open mind about things. Then in chapter 3, it says connecting self and communication. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes before you come to all these different types of conclusions about the person. Understand self-concept. And it also talks about in chapter 3 about your values, your attitude, and that has some kind of connection together. And beliefs. Values, attitude, and beliefs really has stuff to do with your everyday thinking, everyday perceptors. And then also it just says cultures and self-concepts. The same thing really it was talking about in chapter 2, but it just involves self-concepts. And it says be organized. Evaluate different steps to receive and convey a message clearly. Oops. And they say your first impression is everything. And basically that's what went on through chapters 1 and 3. Thank you.